everyone, welcome to another fun-filled and information-packed lesson of Actual English. I'm Jennifer Clyde. It's time for lesson 359 and today's topic is pets and animals. Time for our fourth topic, animal ethics. Okay, now previously we talked about exotic animals or exotic pets to be exact. Today we're going to talk about animal ethics. Now, what do we mean by ethics? Ethics, basically we're talking about the moral principles, okay, related to human conduct. We're talking about what's right, what's wrong, okay, the basic standards, the beliefs that people have, okay. Now these are what we call ethics. So we'll focus on animal ethics today. For example, how animals should be treated. A lot of people do believe that animals should be treated fairly. They should be treated kindly, whether it's a pet or a type of animal that we raise to eat, for example, for its meat, for example, right? We have beef, we eat pork, but it's true that at some farms, not all, across the world, many animals, cows, pigs even, for example, are treated very cruelly. And yes, things are done to them, terrible things are done to them by us human beings. So we'll be talking about animal ethics today, okay? Let's focus on that. As always, let's begin with actual talk.
Gareth, do you know of any good Korean teachers by chance?
I don't, but didn't you have one?
I did, but unfortunately I had to lose her.
Why?
It's a sad story. It's actually kind of sensitive. But have you heard of animal hoarding?
I have actually, keeping too many animals.
Yeah, that's right. Well, a long time ago, and when I met her, I knew that she was pushing the boundaries of ethics with her pets. But it kind of snowballed, and now these days her health has deteriorated. She just came to me one day and said, Kelly, I no longer have energy to teach you. And she has, and I kid you not, I'd say about 60 rabbits that bred, and she didn't implement the proper measures to stop that. 2 cats, a dog, and yet she's the kindest soul and a lovely teacher.
And wow, so she never got them neutered or anything?
No.
Wow.
No, poor education.
That's awful. And it's terrible. It's ironic because she sounds very caring, and yet what she's doing is actually abusive towards the animals because she's not able to care for so many.
But she can't see that.
Of course. Actually, an auntie of mine who's a little bit troubled, she's not an animal hoarder, but she had a dog and a huge emotional connection to the dog, and you know, she wasn't really able to take care of it properly, and they were going to take the dog, and she was very upset. So these types of things can happen. Yeah, the ethical issues is, well, a minefield.
Well, I mean, there's an old saying that too much of a good thing is never a good thing. And
yeah.
I know that it's rare, and a lot of people don't know it exists. But if you cannot care for the animal properly, then you're right. There is an ethical problem. So I just wish her the best.
Yeah.
Okay, that was actual talk between Gareth and Kelly. So they have told us some true stories that they have dealt with. Kelly told us about a story related to her Korean teacher. Yeah, she does sound like a lovely person, a lovely teacher, a lovely human being, but sometimes we're just not educated enough. We don't know what to do in certain situations. Now, this lady was not cruel to her animals intentionally, but of course, what she was doing was not the best for the animals she was keeping, okay? So let's take a look at the conversation in more detail. Okay, Kelly says, Gareth, do you know of any good Korean teachers by chance? Now, she's just beginning the conversation very casually. And of course, Gareth says, I don't, but didn't you have one? Okay, weren't you already learning Korean? Didn't you already have a Korean teacher? Now, here we go. Kelly says, I did, but unfortunately, sadly, unfortunately, I had to lose her. I had to lose her. Let's take a look at this part. What do you think that means? When Kelly said, I had to lose her, I had to lose her. What did you think? How did you understand this part of the sentence? Now, she's not saying that she got lost. She did not know where she was. No, that's not what she's saying. She's saying that she had to lose her. Kelly had to lose her Korean teacher. Okay. Basically, she's saying that she had to say bye-bye. Okay, she had to say goodbye. She had to part with her. She had to lose her. Get rid of something or someone. You can say, I had to lose it. I had to lose him. Meaning, yeah, I had to say goodbye to him. Okay, so she's saying she's no longer her teacher. Now, Gareth asks why. Let's find out. It's a sad story, but have you heard of animal hoarding? Okay. Today we're talking about animal hoarding, but hoard, H-O-A-R-D. Hoard itself basically means to kind of put together, gather. You know how things accumulate as you gather things, okay? So it means to gather or to accumulate. But usually when you say that, you hoard money, for example, or something, okay, like an object, money or something. When you hoard something, you do it kind of secretly, in secret, okay, without people knowing that you're collecting, gathering, or accumulating it in secret because you have special feelings for it, or it's important to you. It's very valuable to you, so you collect and gather it in secret. That's hoarding, okay? So you can save money or store something, okay, in secret, which means to hoard. But animal hoarding is just gathering animals, okay? We see a lot of this on television. It is a problem, but, you know, some people, with hopes of rescuing and saving these animals, they bring one dog home. They see a stray cat. They bring the stray cat home just to give it a warm home. But that builds up to or accumulates to 5 animals, 15, 20, and then that number gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then at one point you have 100, 200, okay, some hundreds of animals. That's animal hoarding, okay? That's what she's talking about. And so Gareth says, I have actually. It's keeping too many animals. That is animal hoarding, okay? Animal hoarding is the act of keeping too many animals. Now let's move on. Yeah, that's right. Well, a long time ago when I met her, she's talking about who? Her Korean teacher. I knew that she was pushing the boundaries of ethics with her pets. Now let's take a look at this part. But first of all, as we see a star, push the boundaries of something. Basically means to try to exceed the existing boundaries, meaning limits, okay? If there is a line or a limit, okay, you should not cross. Well, if you push the boundaries, you are trying to exceed that limit, go overboard, okay? So I knew that she was pushing the boundaries, okay? She was going over the limit of ethics. Ethics, we went over, that's our vocab word for today. We're talking about moral principles, okay, that are related to, you know, just human conduct. What's right and what's wrong, things like that. We'll go over this word later on. Now, but she was doing this with her pets. But it kind of snowballed, and now her health has deteriorated. Now, we have many patterns here, 2 patterns and 2 vocab words. Now, let's move on to snowball. What does snowball mean? Of course, in the winter when it snows, we make snowballs to have snow fights, right? Or we could make a small snowball and then roll it around. One little snowball becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and we could build a snowman, right? Okay. But snowball here is used in the verb form. To snowball means to get bigger and bigger and bigger. If you roll a little snowball in the snow, what happens? It becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So snowball means that. It means to expand. get bigger, get more serious. So she's saying but it kind of snowballed, it expanded, it became a problem, and now her health has deteriorated. Something can go bad, it can rot or go bad, but if somebody's health deteriorates, you're saying that somebody's health or health condition worsens. It gets worse and worse and worse. So she was losing her health, okay? She came to me one day and said, Kelly, I no longer have energy to teach you. Meaning I don't have the energy. No longer. I can't teach you anymore. And she has, and I kid you not, meaning I'm not kidding you, I'm not joking, I'm being serious, I'd say about 60 rabbits that bred, meaning that had baby rabbits. So this lady, her Korean teacher, she was losing her health. Okay, she was getting weaker and weaker, but the number of the animals, the number of the rabbits that she was keeping at home was increasing. Okay, at that point she had 60 rabbits that had, more rabbits, bunnies, baby rabbits. She didn't implement. Okay, she didn't implement the proper measures to stop that. She didn't do anything to stop that. Implement. She didn't do anything, okay? She didn't carry out anything. Implement means to carry out, do something, okay, such as an action. But she's basically saying she had 60 rabbits, but she didn't really do anything to stop that, meaning stop the number of rabbits from increasing. Wow, so she never got them neutered or anything? Kelly says, nope, poor education. Okay, poor education. She wasn't really educated, meaning she did not know about it. Okay, now let's take a look at this word neuter. Neuter. A lot of pets, okay, they get neutered. I see a lot of cats being neutered, a lot of dogs being neutered. In some countries, I think it may be illegal. Some people think that it's cruel to neuter animals, pets. Basically, to neuter, there are other informal or casual words, such as spay, fix, we'll be taking a look at it later. But neuter means to remove the sexual organs of an animal so that they cannot have babies, okay? So that they cannot reproduce, have babies. So, people do neuter pets when they have them, okay? So she never got them neutered. No, and they kept on having more and more babies. Actually, an auntie of mine, an aunt, auntie, all the same thing, who's a little troubled. Now, he's talking about an aunt of his. She's not an animal hoarder. She's not, but she had a dog, okay, and a huge emotional connection to the dog. Huge emotional connection to the dog. So this basically means that the dog, okay, she and her dog were very, very close. The dog was very special to her. She wasn't really able to take care of it properly, and they were going to take the dog. The problem was she loved the dog to death. They had a connection, but she wasn't able to take care of it properly. Not the right way. And they, perhaps people, at shelters or, such organizations, they thought that she wasn't providing, proper care. So they were going to take the dog away, take it away from her. They were going to take the dog away from her. So these types of things can happen. The ethical issues are a minefield. Okay. This is when we're talking about an area, okay, or something, an area, okay, in which there are many dangerous things. So, yes, we're saying that these issues are a minefield. It's like a minefield. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know which bomb you're going to step on and explode. Okay, we'll be practicing that later on. And then Kelly says, well, there's an old saying that too much of a good thing is never a good thing. So the point is, too much of something is never good, okay? If you cannot care for the animal properly, then you're right, she says. You're right, Gareth. There is an ethical problem. And she wraps up the conversation. So, yes, we're talking about animal ethics, okay? Ethical problems. People need to be properly educated to raise animals. We keep on saying that it's a huge responsibility, but it's true, okay? People may do things intentionally to harm animals, but some people, they don't have the intention, but they're just poorly educated. They don't know what to do, so many animals suffer in those situations as well. So we all, I guess, need to do something to stop all that from happening, right? Anyhow, let's take a listen to the whole conversation one more time.
Gareth, do you know of any good Korean teachers by chance?
I don't, but didn't you have one?
I did, but unfortunately I had to lose her.
Why?
Oh, it's a sad story. It's actually kind of sensitive. But have you heard of animal hoarding?
I have actually, keeping too many animals.
Yeah, that's right. Well, a long time ago, and when I met her, I knew that she was pushing the boundaries of ethics with her pets. But it kind of snowballed, and now these days her health has deteriorated. She just came to me one day and said, Kelly, I no longer have energy to teach you. And she has, and I kid you not, I'd say about 60 rabbits that bred, and she didn't implement the proper measures to stop that. 2 cats, a dog, and yet she's the kindest soul and a lovely teacher.
And wow, so she never got them neutered or anything?
No.
Wow.
No, poor education.
That's awful. And it's terrible. It's ironic because she sounds very caring, and yet what she's doing is actually abusive towards the animals because she's not able to care for so many.
But she can't see that.
Of course. Actually, an auntie of mine who's a little bit troubled, she's not an animal hoarder, but she had a dog and a huge emotional connection to the dog, and you know, she wasn't really able to take care of it properly, and they were going to take the dog, and she was very upset. So these types of things can happen. Yeah, the ethical issues is, well, a minefield.
Well, I mean, there's an old saying that too much of a good thing is never a good thing. And
Yeah.
I know that it's rare and a lot of people don't know it exists, but if you cannot care for the animal properly, then you're right, there is an ethical problem. So I just wish her the best.
Yeah.
Are you ready, everyone? Okay, then let's take a look at the vocab words taken straight out from today's actual talk, as well as the patterns. First of all, we have hoard. Hoard. It's not difficult to pronounce. One more time. Hoard, as you see. Now, buy up, stash, put away. Stash is informal, but I think it's a perfect synonym. Stash, hoard, gather, accumulate. Okay? What about deteriorate? Okay? Deteriorate. This is a difficult word. Here we go. Deteriorate. 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 Got it? One more time. Deteriorate. It's difficult. It's tricky. Okay? It means to decline, degenerate, worsen, become bad, rot even in some cases, go bad. But when you say that somebody's health deteriorates, you're saying that that person's health worsens. It gets worse and worse and worse. What about ethics? We talked about animal ethics today. Now, it's usually used in the plural form, so it's a plural noun because we have an S there. Ethic in the singular form is used as well. Okay, we're talking about morality, standards, moral values, goodness, rightness, for example. And then moving on to implement. It's a verb. Here we go. Implement means to start, achieve, complete, enforce. Even, as I told you, it means to fulfill, perform, or carry something out, like an activity. Okay. Neuter. Here we go. Some people say new, N-Y-U, neuter. You can also say neuter. I say neuter. You can also say neuter. Okay, basically means to castrate. Fix is slang or it's casual, it's informal. Sterilize is another word. It basically means, once again, to remove the reproductive organ so that these animals cannot have babies, okay? Neuter. Okay, spay is another synonym you could use. Spay, S-P-A-Y. Ironic, okay? You can see that something is ironic, well, sarcastically, okay? Moving on to our first pattern for today. Push the boundaries. The can be omitted. Sometimes you will see push boundaries, but push the boundaries will work. Push the boundaries meaning to try to exceed the limits of something, okay? Such as an activity. TV shows are really pushing the boundaries by showing too much violence. They're going over the limit, okay? They're pushing the boundaries. Snowball, as I told you, it's used in the verb form, okay? We're not talking about snowball that we fight with, okay, in the snow, in the noun. It's used in the verb form, which means to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Expand, for example. The argument with my boyfriend has snowballed. He won't talk to me. He's not talking to me. He won't talk to me. So we're saying the argument has gotten worse, okay? So it's snowballed. You can see that something snowballs or snowballed when something just expands or increases suddenly, very rapidly, just uncontrollably. So in this case, we're saying that the argument got bigger and bigger, or it got even more serious, so he's not talking to you. Okay, our final one, minefield it is. It means an area, okay, with many unseen dangers. You're not sure what's going to happen, which dangers are waiting for you. So, don't talk to Heidi today unless you're ready to walk into a minefield. Okay? Don't talk to Heidi. I'm warning you. Why? She's angry. So, unless you're ready to walk into a minefield, an area where you don't know what kinds of dangers are waiting for you, well, go ahead and talk to her. So, minefield can be used in a sentence like this as well. Okay, everyone, practice them more on your own and make them yours.